Tell me, folks, are you a friend of Brendo? I know I am.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ending Explained here on Burns Reviews. My name is John, and today we are talking about the new film by Eli Craig, Clown in a Cornfield, starring Katie Douglas, Will Sasso, and Kevin Durand as Arthur Hill. But before we begin, if you could, be sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe so that the YouTube algorithm doesn't slaughter this video in a cornfield. Also, there's going to be a lot of spoilers for this film, so if you haven't seen it, be sure to check out our quick review reaction straight out of the theater. It's short, sweet, and spoiler-free, and if you don't mind spoilers, grab some popcorn, kick back, as we talk about it, Clown in a Cornfield. So the setup is pretty simple. Small town in the Midwest, Missouri. They're known for making corn syrup, Bay Pan corn syrup, with their mascot being Friendo the Clown. And there's a factory, essentially is the backbone of the entire town. And every year they have a parade with Bay Pan Clown coming down the middle of the square. It's a whole thing. They got real hometown kind of pride, right? They like the way things are. Kevin Durand is the CEO of the company, so he's essentially running it like the mayor. And then we've got Will Sasso, who you may know from Mad TV. He's the town sheriff, and it's kind of nice seeing some recognizable faces here. I don't know, I kind of love Kevin Durand whenever he's in a horror movie, whether it be this or Abigail or what have you. He's a very hateable kind of guy in most movies that he plays, and he always seems to get a pretty gnarly death, which, he's like the Sean Bean of horror movies, in my opinion. And I gotta be honest, guys, I know a lot of my viewers love Terrifier. I love Terrifier. I love talking about it. So going into this, I was like, you know what? Maybe this will be like right on brand to talk about it. Unfortunately, this wasn't the greatest film ever made. There's a lot of issues with it. This movie left me feeling a little bit underwhelmed. So I'm gonna rag on it a bit because I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna be objective. I think the kills are good, but there's a lot wrong with this movie, and I'm going to break it down. So, pretty much everyone who you see die in the trailer dies in the movie, which is one of my biggest gripes with movies these days, is like when you watch a trailer and they just reveal way too much. The first kill that we see takes place in 1991. It's a flashback. It's this girl, pretty girl, blonde hair. She tells her boyfriend, come with me into the cornfield, and she's taking her top off. A blatant homage to the movie Jaws. Also has the same opening, only instead of a cornfield, the girl goes into the ocean. They get killed off immediately. Skip ahead to the current day. The first kill is the token black guy. He's the guy who's really into doing these viral videos, and he gets killed off immediately, and they don't even really notice it because they think, oh, he's just doing another prank, right? After that, we have a character named Matt. He's like the jock, the meathead, if you will. And you've seen this in the trailers, and they even have a clip of it online. He's doing some bench presses. Friendo comes in, he's got the saw above him, and he just chops his head right off, goes into a cooler. Which I guess was kind of amusing. I mean, I like the part when he's walking by, he's like squeaking by as he walks away. Alright. And then later that night, they have their big Founders Day parade party bash, the teenagers. It's in a barn. Quinn and Cole sneak off to go like have sex in a barn or something like that. She gets on top of him. And it's such an odd scene because like he seems like he's into her the whole movie. They've made out several times earlier in the film. They're kind of getting it on a little bit. And all of a sudden, like, he just goes, oh! And I thought for sure that he just...
Shoes in my pants.
I'm just like, what happened to you, buddy? And he gets up and he runs away. I thought he had an accident. They explain it later. And at this point, the kills kick off pretty quickly. We're about like 40 minutes into this movie. You have a random girl who comes out of the cornfield. I think her name was Ginger. She gets shot with a crossbow. There's my favorite character in the movie, unfortunately. If I ever had to do like a cameo in a movie like this, I'd want to be him. He seems drama-free, laid back, kind of chill. He's like the MC of the party. He walks out and is like, look, it's Friendo. Gets a crossbow arrow right in the eye. He's done. Also, it's around this midpoint that we find out there's multiple Friendos, which kind of reveals through process of elimination who the killers are, because we know it's not the teens, obviously. I mean, maybe there's like a secret Friendo killer, but spoilers, there's not. So by process of elimination, you're like, well, if there's 7 clowns coming out of the cornfield, then I think I pretty much know who's doing this, right? I mean, the whole town seems to have disdain for those characters, so... And to me, it just kind of looks stupid. It kind of reminded me of like the Triangle Gang from Batman Returns coming at you. It's like, alright. So our main group of teens, they run into the cornfield, of course, and the next one to be killed is a character named Ronnie, who hands down was the most annoying character in this entire film. She wouldn't shut up. She was whining. She's complaining. She's annoying. Zero redeemable characteristics. And I'm just like, good. She gets sawed with a chainsaw right in the middle. They don't really show it. They kind of show more of the splatter on the other girl. I think her name was Janet. So that was kind of weak sauce. We lose track of the two male characters. The one, Cole, he gets arrested by Will Sasso, who is the guy from Mad TV, but in this movie he's a sheriff. He takes him away in a cop car. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but, you'll figure that out later. And then also the other character, Rustin, who is like the town weirdo, kind of quiet. We think he blows up in a barn. So now we're just left with Janet and Quinn. Janet is pretty much the Valley Girl, Sarah Marshall type. Also pretty annoying. She's a plastic, if you will. And they decide they're going to cut through the cornfield, get to like the house that has the phone, and try to call for help. Which is kind of dumb when you realize that Will Sasso and the rest of them are pretty uncaring and incompetent as far as being any type of help, but I digress. So they get to the house, and they break in, and they find a rotary phone. And this movie is so insulting to Gen Z because, like, who the hell can't use a rotary phone? It's in the trailer. It's like, I can't use a rotary phone. Like, even if you've never seen one up close in your life, you want me to believe that you've never seen a movie that had a rotary phone? You have no idea? There's two of you, and not one of you had... Fine. So one of the friendos, pops in, comes in with a pitchfork, takes Janet out, and with a giant pitchfork, throws her right into the ceiling and drops her on the ground. Quinn takes the pitchfork out of Janet and kills Frendo with it. And I think this is like the one scene in the film that kind of made me chuckle, because Janet gets killed, because she pulls the pitchfork out, which you never do. You never pull it out when you get stabbed, but whatever. And so Quinn is standing there. Janet is laying on the floor bleeding out. The other one is bleeding because he got stabbed too. And Janet looks at Quinn and goes, "I hate you, Quinn." And the clown is just like, "Me too." And that was the one scene in this whole movie that kind of got me to, I don't even want to say chuckle, maybe a smirk, maybe the, and that's pretty much it. Anyone who told you this movie was going to be funny, from the director of Dale and Tucker versus Evil, they lied. And speaking of pulling out the pitchfork, there's actually two scenes where they pull a knife or a sharp object out of another person, which causes them to die. Like, there's another scene where the dad, the doctor, he gets kidnapped because one of the clowns loses a hand in the scuffle, and he's being forced by one of the friendos to help the person who is bleeding out or we're going to kill you kind of scenario. You've seen this trope so many times. And in doing so, the dad is able to get like a knife. He stabs into the friendo's neck. And he even says to him, like, "Don't pull out the knife. Like, you'll bleed out." And the first thing he does is like, bleh. So, of course, he bleeds out and dies. So anyway, Quinn gives up on trying to figure out the rotary phone. She makes a run for it. She heads for, like, the pickup truck. But because her dad didn't teach her how to drive a manual, again, Gen Z apparently be really stupid in this movie, not doing you guys any favors. She can't drive away. She's just stuck there. She couldn't figure it out. So the clowns, they break into the pickup truck, they kidnap her, they take her to the final location for Act 3, and this is where we get our big Bond villain monologue explaining why the killers are doing what they're doing, and lo and behold, shocker, shocker, Kevin Durand is the one behind it all. We find out that for generations, starting with his grandpappy, since the 1930s, they've been killing the unlikable people that come to this town because they want to keep the ways of the old alive and well. They talk about in the 1930s, they killed all the hobos. In the 1960s, they killed all the hippies. And in the 1990s, they killed anybody who seemed to like Nirvana. And now, we have the present day, and we have these teenagers that are always up to no good because they're filming these viral videos, like I said, of, these fake friendo, fake kill videos, which I don't think you can really post without being taken down, but whatever. And, I think they hold them personally responsible for burning down the mill and putting a lot of them out of work. They don't really go into it too much, but that's kind of implied a little bit throughout. But then we find out that Kevin Durand, who's been organizing this whole thing, who comes out dressed like fucking Joaquin Phoenix from the Joker, kind of dressed like a hobo a little bit. He's like a hobo clown. You ever see like those little figurines? He basically explains, we find out that he's the one who actually burnt the mill down. He wanted to collect the insurance. And he's also willing to kill his own son, who's like the main love interest to Quinn. He's got him hanging there like urban legends. standing, he's holding on to his neck. There's a noose around his neck. And I say urban legends because the dad crashes the car into this little mill, and the car goes right under the Cole's feet. And now he's like dangling like Pacey from Dawson's Creek, trying to not die. A very minor character named Rust, who's barely got any character development whatsoever. He's like the town weirdo. He's the quiet one. He likes to fish. He likes to hunt. He's not part of the friend group. He's very peripheral to the whole movie. He shows up again. He's got the shotgun. He shoots the rope, saves Cole. And it's at this point that, he takes the noose off the guy's neck and he just gives him a big old kisseroo. And you're just like, the whole audience, even the main character is like, what? And don't get me wrong. I don't care if you got LGBT characters in this movie. That's not my problem. You want to go all Brokeback Missouri on me? Have fun. Go to town. The problem I have with this is that it feels like a studio note that was kind of shoehorned on the day. Like, we gotta put this in the movie for some reason. Because it's lazy. It's not set up, paid off, or most importantly, earned. It just kind of happens. And even the main character is like... So... From that point, most of the clowns get killed off. It consists of like the angry school teacher, the bitter waitress, the shopkeeper, Will Sasso, who's the sheriff. He's in on it too. Although I thought it was kind of funny because he shows up at the end in a very big friendo clown outfit, and you're like, I didn't see you at any point. And I know why they did it, because it would have given it away immediately. He's the only overweight guy in the movie, and he gets killed off in the most Scream rip-off way ever. Our main character, Quinn, she dresses up as one of the friendos. She finds a costume and she puts it on, waits for him to come in, takes this giant taser stick and just shoves it down his throat, kills him lickety-split. She even does like the mask reveal, and she's just like, she says some catty line of like, not in my movie. Doesn't say that, but something like that, right? But yeah, in a nutshell, the townspeople were all doing this very much like Hot Fuzz because they want to preserve the ways of their town. They don't like change. And the Gen Z teenagers are like, but change is a part of life. So it's this zig and zag contrast that you have. Not well done, but it is what it is. Kevin Durand gets in the car, drives away. They don't even bother looking for him. Our four characters who are still left standing: Quinn, her dad, what would have I thought was going to be her boyfriend Cole, his new boyfriend Rust. They survive. They get into a clown car of all things, because haha, and they speed off. Which, first of all, not for nothing. Yeah, I'll never be convinced that like this girl, who just learned in this very moment by her dad, who's like, you know what, I'm not going to drive. You're going to drive and learn how to drive stick like I wanted to do earlier. I don't believe that any 17-year-old who's never driven a manual before can automatically take off and not stall out. I just don't buy it. It's bullshit. And not only does she do that, but she hits the teacher on the way out, because he pops up for some reason with a chainsaw. And when they hit the teacher, he explodes like a balloon. Which, alright, fine. They get away. Some time goes by. We have like a fade out, fade in. And we find out that the dad and the daughter and the two boys are still living in this town, which I call bullshit. You mean to tell me that like they didn't just drive out of that town that night and never looked back? I would. Kevin Durand is still out there, and I'm sure there's some townspeople that didn't get killed off that were friendos. Or, I mean, I'm just saying, if the town is the problem, leave the town. But they don't. So she's leaving for college. You have the two boys, they show up to say goodbye. They give her this like 16-inch baton as like a safety precaution to bring to college. There's actually like an odd moment where I feel like they're kind of like flirting with her a little bit. I could be wrong, but this movie is so kind of all over the place where I'm just like, are they entering a throuple? Is that what the new kid's talking about? But no, they're just friendly and whatever. She leaves. She's driving away, and she looks in the back seat, and she sees like the little music box with Bay Pan Friendo in the back seat. She throws it out the window. Credits. And no, there was no post-credit scene. I checked. Director's statement. So according to Eli Craig, he said, "What I like to tell is a story that you don't have to think about the themes at all. But if you do, it's actually pretty deep. It has all kinds of layers to it. About generational trauma. About what the U.S. is going through right now. People trying to hold on to the past, while other people are trying to push to the future." Yeah, okay, Eli, if you say so. Fun fact, Eli, the director, is actually the son of Sally Field, so it's good to know that nepotism in Hollywood is still alive and well. Although after watching this film, I'm starting to wonder if her fictional son, Forrest Gump, has more brains than he does.
Braces on his legs, but he charmed the pants off next to him and won a ping pong competition? That ain't retarded. You went full retard, man.
I mean, to his credit, the movie was shot practically. There's a lot of kills in this movie. I don't remember seeing much CGI, if any. They were shooting it on a very tight budget. So you have some splatter effect, you got some blood tubes. The kills are probably the best part of this movie. So it's, as much as I've ragged on this movie, I wouldn't mind if I was like watching it on Shudder or streaming or the Pirate Seas or whatever you do to go watch a film. I wouldn't recommend seeing this in a theater. I mean, yes, it is cool seeing everything bigger on a big screen. I have AMC, A-Lister Plus, or whatever it is at AMC. So it's like, for me, it's like $27 a month subscription service. You can see 3 movies a week, which is like 12 a month. So knowing that, it doesn't like bother me too much that this was the movie of the week that I went to go see. But if I had just paid $18 to go see this movie, plus like popcorn and all that stuff, let's just say $50, I'd be pretty disappointed. I mean, it's great to have practical effects that look cool, but it doesn't really compensate for a crappy story, bad acting, and just a general sense of laziness. But, I figured a lot of my fans love Terrifier, I love Terrifier, and this seems right up, right on brand for the channel to go check this movie out. Speaking of Art the Clown and Terrifier, the director actually took some shots at it in a panel. Take a look.
This is like a working man, slasher killer. It's very humanistic. So there's some human vibes to him that aren't, say, another killer clown we might know that lifts off into the spiritual realm.
You're not winning me over, Eli Craig. You're not winning me over. As far as the future of Clown in a Cornfield, it is based on a trilogy of YA novels. First one came out in 2020, so don't make the mistake thinking like, oh, this was like a Stephen King novel. No, it's a young adult novel that came out in 2020. So take that as you will. But basically, Eli Craig said that if this movie is successful, then he will be happy to come back to do the sequels. Good luck. I remember seeing all the trailers for this movie and being like, it's got like a 90-something on Rotten Tomatoes. And if you look real tiny, it's like as of 4/15, and based on 80 critics who were at South by Southwest. I don't know if they were gassed up, paid off, or hyped up, or what. Maybe they're just excited to be there. I've gone to premieres and press events where it's like, they give you swag. Everyone's kind of projecting, hey, this movie is great, it's great, it's great. People around you sometimes say it's great. And sometimes you really have to just block that all out because it can kind of create a bias. And that's what I fear or suspect that may have happened. Or, like I said in my quick reaction, perhaps this is just a generational thing, which is kind of ironic. That's the theme of the movie. Maybe younger people will like this movie. I know when Scream came out, which is my favorite film in the horror genre. And I know when that came out, a lot of people said things like, oh, well, it's a ripoff of Halloween. People that are older. It's a ripoff of Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. So perhaps, given the benefit of the doubt, perhaps younger generations who don't know those movies, who feel like this is kind of fresh, maybe they'll like it. I know I'm stretching here, but maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. I have a feeling this movie's going to turn a lot of people off because, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, and I don't like getting political on here, this movie's found a way to piss off everybody, right? Because if the liberals are meant to represent the teens, right, they're shown as, these incompetent Gen Zers who can't work a rotary phone, they can't drive a manual car, they really can't seem to do much of anything beyond make viral videos of clown killings. Or if you're a conservative, you might look at this movie and be like, okay, so all the townspeople are redneck hillbilly bigots. They're the conservative team. So yeah, you're basically calling everybody in the film, politically in a sense, an idiot. So who is this movie for exactly? I suppose slasher fans, but they're so much better. So good job, Eli. You alienated everybody. All right, so before we go, I give this movie a 4. Before we go, be sure to like and subscribe if you like this video. I'm going to leave you guys with a little montage of all the clips that match that this movie has blatantly ripped off. Because there's a lot of them. And too much to name off. I just made a 2-minute clip showing those clips. And you could just watch for yourself. With that said, I have been John here on Burns Views. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you next time.
And Manhunter for me, so that movie to me, and I go back and watch it all the time.
Smoke and mirrors, guys. Welcome to the movie factory. You're going to get the shots, and I'm going to make sure because I'm the director.
No, in the basement. Why can't we just get in the running car?
Somebody! Do I take it out or do I leave it in? Do I take it out or do I leave it in? Ah!
Here's Johnny.
Bribery. Yeah, you got it right.
All about the greater good.
What's the matter, Sydney? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Kills you and shoots himself in the head. Perfect ending.
But wait! There's more!
That's right, Cindy. I'm gay. In case you haven't noticed, so is Ray. What?
And the Joker got away.